Where is he?
Where are you? Skull Rock. Do you know it?
Hello. Fuck you, Megan. As soon as we begin, she goes, I hope I don't throw up. All right. Let's get it together. That sets the tone. Okay. Hello, this is Stacy over at the Skull Rock broadcast. I am joined by...
Hello, this is Megan. Welcome back to our Stranger Things and Pop Culture podcast. And hopefully I don't throw up.
Could you imagine you do it on camera? I will literally never let you live it down. Like, remember when you yeeted on camera and cut all over the keyboard?
I'm gonna try to mute or turn off the camera.
You mute yourself.
But leave the camera on.
You would either leave the camera on so I see you fully vomit, or I just hear you going like. You're welcome, everyone.
Great start. Great way to start this episode.
Yeah,
because we're finally doing it, guys.
We're doing it.
We're diving in to Lover's Lake.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. I don't know if I know how to swim anymore.
It's been since before the 4th of July.
No, it's been
Yeah?
since. No,
Fuck you.
We
Nope.
were. Shut
No,
up.
actually, you're
season
right.
3.
Actually, guys, Megan's completely right, and I'm a fucking piece of shit. So please accept my apology.
November is when we finished season 4. You're thinking of season 3.
Yeah. Could you imagine us in an old folks' home? You would just use your walker to get away from me, because I'd be like, "No, your name is Marcy." Yep.
That's the future of this podcast.
Yep.
So this is our
It's been
Lover's
since
Lake
November.
deep dives. Yeah. So it's been a few months.
Yeah. So we're testing out our, I was going to say sea legs, but I guess lake legs.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a deep dive in the notorious final season
Of Stranger Things.
5. Boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
So we're going to try to keep this chit chat at the beginning pretty short, but I do want to say, how are you doing?
I'm hanging on.
By a thread.
By a thread, but
Yeah.
Stacy's not hanging on by a thread. What else has changed? I actually meant to mention, so when Rachel is visiting, we actually made the Jeff Daniels sandwich. Now, do you know what that is?
Is it peanut butter and marshmallow?
You're close. Okay, so you know who Jeff Daniels is, right? The actor?
Yeah, and I don't know where that information in my brain came from, but
I'm impressed. Okay, you must have seen it, or I must have kind of mentioned it.
no,
But
I
he
think
was
it's from when I was a child.
Okay, then you're absolutely wrong, unless Jeff Daniels came to visit your house and he made you a sandwich, which he seems like a nice enough guy. He might have. So Jeff Daniels was on some, talk show. And recently. And he talked about his perfect sandwich, which is pita bread with an inch of creamy peanut butter. And then I guess Ruffles, sour cream and onion cheddar, potato chips crunched up. Now this is where we go a little with barbecue sauce. So we were like, that could be good. So we tried it.
You're going to make me throw up talking about this.
I know. Actually, this is what makes her eat. I got to tell you, the barbecue sauce kind of was what ruined it.
Barbecue
the rest of
sauce
it was fine.
there's so many different kinds of barbecue sauce too.
And it was from my fridge fridge door, excuse me. And we don't know how long that had been
I wouldn't
there.
have been trusting that barbecue sauce.
Rachel, I'm so sorry. We should have maybe checked the expiration date.
Yeah.
But yeah, right away I'm like, this is really tangy. I mean, maybe it was meant to be tangy. Maybe it's tangy barbecue, or maybe it expired in 2021. I don't know. But likely. But no, we tried that. Yeah, if anybody tries it and experiments, report back to me. But definitely it was something different. And only me. And I was telling Megan, my neighbor Pedro, he offered to mow my lawn. So I was clearing the way for him to go in the backyard. And I have a little shed And like the back door where my dad used to drive his ATV up to like park the ATV inside it kind of fell off its hinges. And guys, I'm not a repairman, so I just kind of like left it because I don't keep anything in that shed. Well, I'm standing like right on the little ramp, like, guiding Pedro in, and he goes past me on the little tractor, and I step to the left, and literally out comes, I swear to God, it was the size of a fucking St. Bernard. It was a raccoon.
No, it
and
wasn't.
It
wasn't
was
the size of
huge.
a St. Bernard.
It was the first one I've ever seen in person, I
was
think,
it
ever in my
living
life.
in the shed?
Oh, yeah. You know for a fact it probably has a fucking nest in there. But that's a future Stacy problem now.
You can domesticate those. Like, they can be pretty well tamed.
That's when you know the breakdown is complete, when I am living with my pet raccoon and Quinn. So it waddled out, and like, I'm an indoor girl. So like, Pedro's back is to me, and he's got a loud mower going, and I go, ah! And I'm just pointing to it. The raccoon couldn't have given a flying fuck. It went as slow as shit, just waddling in the opposite direction.
I wish
And,
I
like,
could see it. I think
oh
they're
my
so
God.
cute.
I'm going to try to spy and see if it does have like itself or babies in the shed, which I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to charge it rent. It can stay there until it becomes a future problem. Whatever. But literally it was so chunky. It was just like, it literally had little rolls, and I was like, what have you been eating? It's been coming in and like raiding the fridge.
Maybe
and
it's
like
pregnant.
Oh, Jesus. But I'm like, it's raiding the fridge. It's like, oh, don't touch the barbecue sauce. That's expired.
No, I read this book about, like, it was like a romance novel. It was like actually like a trilogy or something.
About raccoons?
No, they lived in Alaska, and the guy had a raccoon that like lived under his porch, and he would like feed it, and they got kind of like attached to it. So when they moved, they like took it with them. They like put it in a carrier.
Like, you know what?
And like, you're
You're
come
our
with
pet
us.
now. My dad told me once, and he told me this when we may or may not have been gardening, wink, wink, that growing up in the 70s, a kid in his like suburb, the projects, let's be real, literally like had a pet skunk. And he goes, yeah, those things have long claws. And I'm like, imagine me feeling the effects of gardening, just literally blinking, going, a skunk? And he goes, yeah, they de-skunk it. And I'm like,
Oh.
what? And he goes, they take this like stink bag out. And I go, that's inhumane. And he was like, it was the 70s. You could get away with that shit. And I'm like, whose bright idea was to be like, you know what? I'm going to have a pet skunk.
The show that I was telling you that I was watching, it's really funny and really unhinged, but like the main character has like a skunk that she lets come in her house, and there was really a skunk on the show, so I'm assuming that this skunk actor is probably, de-skunked.
De-skunked.
Because how could they have a skunk actor that was gonna spray everybody?
All I know is, like, has Leia ever gotten sprayed by a skunk?
No.
Thank God. I've heard it's so bad.
She got into a fight with a fox, but that was it.
Oh, those things can be vicious.
Yeah. It was just scared. I think it was like pretty young.
Well, with that fucking wolf coming at you, probably going a million miles
know.
per hour.
I was more worried about I was worried about both. I was worried about all three of us because I was in between them.
Yeah.
So
The saxophones were, in fact, getting louder.
But yeah, have you been watching anything?
No.
No?
Um,
Snoopy Jazz?
Snoopy Jazz nonstop. I think tomorrow I'm going to watch a bunch of Curie movies because, art is beautiful. I've been rewatching The Bear, which that is not good for someone who's depressed and has anxiety.
I've never seen it.
You would have a panic attack.
I think I might like it, but
I'll report back because they're going to do their final season. The last 2 seasons have been a stinker, but the first 2 seasons, gold. Especially the first. But no, just that. Really haven't been watching anything new. I saw that there was like this like made for TV movie back in the 80s with Helen Hunt about like the dangers of PCP, and she like smokes it with her boyfriend. She throws herself out a window. She survives, and she's like going nuts on college campus. And I'm like, that's something you can't bounce back from. Like, you can't show up to class the next day and just brush it off being like, sorry, so I
What
might
about
watch
The
that.
Boys? I thought you watched The Boys.
Oh, I'm a ding-dong. Actually, I have been watching The Boys. I'm all caught up. There's 2 more episodes left, and they're in their final season. I have been loving this season. And actually, Mason Dwyer, he showed up. Die. Motherfucker with people's names. This is why Megan's here. And he plays a character called, like, Bombshell or Bomb. Watch, I'm completely wrong. It's something with the word bomb in it. And he's like this superhero that hasn't aged since like the 50s. So he's the all-American. He's got like the fighter jacket on and stuff. So seeing him on, the screen again was pretty amusing. And he plays a pretty good part. But I'm pretty interested to see how they're going to wrap everything up. So that's a show I would recommend. It's weird, though. But, like, there's one character. He's one of the characters from Gossip Girl, I think. Chace Crawford. Do you remember that actor? He plays this character called the Deep. And he has, like, gills. And he's like Aquaman, basically. But in the first season, he, like, rescues a dolphin from, like, this, like, horrible aquarium. And he's got it, like, in the back of his truck. And he keeps spritzing it with, like, a water bottle, and I won't tell you the rest of the scene because then you might not watch it.
No.
But definitely, like, he can like hear like fish talk, and he's the only one. So like, there's a scene where like a boat may or may not go through a huge blue whale, and literally you see him go up to it, he like lays against it. He goes, "I can't leave Marcy," and literally everyone's covered in whale guts, and they're just horrified. And it's him like just laying against it. I'm
Is
like,
it supposed to be
Jesus
funny?
Christ. Yeah, but as a vegetarian, I can see you maybe not finding it as amusing as most. Wait, actually, you fucking hypocrite. You
I
eat
do
fish.
eat fish.
You're
but
not
not whales. Whales are mammals.
Whale blubber. What do they use?
Whales
whale
are
blubber
not
in?
fish. They're mammals.
Yeah, that's
I
what
don't
they
eat
want you to
mammals.
believe.
I don't eat mammals.
Sure.
So it's
What
funny.
about you?
His character in Gossip Girl's name is Nate. That is like random information that came to my mind when you talked about him. But it's funny because that's Charlie's character in Jan, the show that I was watching. So it's like this random Canadian comedy. Jan is spelled Jann, but I was having a hard time finding a place to watch it. But Charlie from Hotel Mira, who was on our podcast, is in season 3 of the show. So I finally found like a link to watch it. And it's only like 8 episodes. He was in the last 5, but it was really funny. And just a good time. And
Canadians are funny.
It was making me laugh though, because it was before we started recording, but he was talking about having to like, you asked him about like acting and like fake it till you make it, like, and he was talking about like having to ride a horse and shoot a bow and arrow, and like that was all on this show. So it was like funny to like watch him doing all of those things that he told us about. So that was funny.
Only I would ask the actor, like, so you got a lie on your resume, right? And he's like, kind of, like.
Yeah, he was funny. But yeah, so I watched that, but that's pretty much all I watched this week, I think.
Sick.
I can't remember anything else. Just going to yoga, taking my vitamins.
See, you're doing all the right things.
We'll see how that lasts. Let's get into it. We are going to go through what happened in the first episode of season 5, which is called The Crawl. I think it's probably, I don't remember the episodes that much because I only watched them once. Like, I never really went back and rewatched it. I think I've watched this episode and maybe the second episode twice because I like rewatched them before volume 2 came out.
That makes sense, yeah.
I didn't rewatch all of volume 1. So I really have only seen this one time before we're getting into the deep dives. So I don't really have a sense of like episode by episode because I watched all of volume 1 just in one sitting. So I'm curious to see like how we feel about each episode individually because I think this one was a pretty good episode. Like a lot happened, and it was like a good introduction to like the season as a whole. So it was action packed. I thought there was a lot of like callbacks to past seasons, which I think is fun to talk about. So yeah, overall, I think it was a pretty decent one.
No, it's definitely, I think, the crawl and I think it's the turnboat trap. That's the second episode. I could be completely wrong. I think those two are the strongest episodes in volume 1. So I think that this episode, there was a lot of, expectations because the wait had been so long with the strikes and whatnot. So the crawl definitely kicks off with a bang. So
yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
How do we open?
Also, I wrote down like the summary that Netflix gives you about the episode.
Give us the summary.
So it's November 1987. The gang evades the military to scour the Upside Down for Vecna, but fails to notice a threat lurking closer to home.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Good job, Netflix.
So the other thing I was going to ask you, which I meant to ask you before we started recording, have you seen those Stranger Scenes things for season 5? Like bonus content?
No.
It's in like if you go down and click like trailers and more, they have like one for each episode in season 5, and they're like 8 to 10 minutes each.
Yeah.
And I think they're like similar to the ones they did around season 2, where it's like sort of behind the scenes interview type stuff. But I haven't watched them yet, so I feel like it might be kind of fun to watch those and sort of like chat about them, not necessarily on our deep dive episodes, but maybe like since we're only doing these every couple weeks, like we could like throw a little bit of those in between, like 100%. Just to kind of keep the season 5 content going. But
thanks for the heads up. I would have had no effing clue. So
yeah, I just noticed them today, and I didn't watch the episode 1 yet. So I was like, well, I'll talk about it with Stacey first, and then we can see. But
love that.
We also open for this season not in 1987, but back in 1983 on November 12th, which is that 6 days in.
Yeah.
And Will is singing. He's in Castle Byers. So it's like sort of a callback to something that we don't see in season 1. A lot of people saw this first 5 minutes early. Yes. I never watched it. I didn't watch it until like the day it came out. But he's in Castle Byers.
It shows what was like almost like the cold opening or the cliffhanger of either the second to last episode of season 1 or the opening of season 1, the finale, which is the Upside Down, where you see like, poor Will is a little dehydrated, might have pneumonia, and he's singing "Should I Stay or Should I Go" by The Clash.
Yeah, to sort of protect himself.
And something bursts into Castle Byers, which we're to assume is Mr. Demogorgon.
Right. And it is now that we actually get to see it, because
what an asshole.
The Demogorgon comes in. I was going to say, I refuse to call it a demo. We are going to call it a Demogorgon.
Demogorgon. It was, and we're not going to try to harp on this because we know it really got under Stacey's skin, but there is a particular episode onward where they thought, they were like, this is so goddamn clever. We haven't done this for 4 fucking seasons, but we're going to suddenly make it work like Fetch. Stop trying to make demo work. It's not going to work. It's a Demogorgon.
Exactly. So Will climbs up a tree to get away from the Demogorgon.
I would have been as good as effing dead.
Yeah. The Demogorgon is climbing up after him. So
Could you imagine?
To another
it's Cocaine Bear.
He jumps to another tree, ends up falling, gets like caught on his backpack for a sec. But then the strap starts to go.
Imagine. I'd be like, come on back. That shit ain't LL Bean. So that shit's going to break. And if little, like, skinny Will, like, again, I'm as good as dead. The fall would have killed me. But doesn't he start to fall and the Demogorgon grabs him, or does he hit the ground?
And then he does hit the ground. And then you see him, like, dragged away. and then he's taken to the library, and we
Where
see
he's
Vecna,
found.
which is where he's eventually found. But we see Vecna, and it's sort of that confirmation that like
He
yes,
was behind
it was always
this.
Vecna from the beginning.
Yeah.
It made me think, I feel like, have I mentioned this to you before? But like Will like tied up in like the vines, which actually ends up happening to like the other kids later in this season too. But it always makes me think of Bran in Game of Thrones with like under the tree and all the roots around him.
Oh,
like
God, that's so what? My God.
I know, I loved Bran at the beginning of Game of Thrones, and like when he had
But
his
then at
wolf
the
and
end-
everything, but then he just gets
Then at the end, he said,
weird.
I'm the all-wise and knowing Bran. And
Yeah.
I'm like, we get it. We get
But-
it, Bran.
Vecna's like, at long last we can begin, which I thought was kind of like meta, because we did have a long wait before we could begin
certainly
season
did.
5.
And he said he loves saying what beautiful things they're going to do together.
Yeah, it's so
And
gross.
there's just a tentacle going on. It's just,
The vines
You
are
know,
disgusting.
the vines are gross.
Pulsing into
Okay,
his mouth.
stop right now.
But my other question,
Oh my God.
here before we
To
go
crack
to
open a beer.
why Will? Do we ever get an answer to that? Why?
I don't know. Use the weak link, I guess.
Okay.
I mean,
I just don't think there's
honey,
ever really
there's
like a.
gonna be quite a
I
few
know.
unanswered questions.
But I feel like I'm gonna bring them up. It's not a
Yeah.
criticism necessarily. It's just like a question that I feel like could have been answered a little
I
bit
feel
better.
like there should have been maybe a reason, like, it would have been very almost Stephen King coded. Like, there's certain children that kind of like shine, or, maybe it's because he was younger than the other ones and weaker, or he was just happened to be the one biking alone. But yeah, and also like no criticism against the digital effects, but de-aging. It's
Yeah.
a tough dance to dance. I think they did as good as they could do. It did look like Noah. There were some shots that were a little but the same thing happened with It Chapter 2. Once obviously they couldn't go back in effing time, but I know that some of the first behind the scenes looks was of Noah laying next to that child actor, and they were trying to digitally de-age and match it. So
Yeah, it's very interesting because it's cool that they were able to do it, but it is the most like CGI fake looking part of the episode.
especially with the lighting, like with the lightning and stuff, I feel
Yeah.
like de-aging, it's almost like smoke and mirrors. It's best kind of in certain lighting, but there are a few glances where you're like, what's going on with his eyes? And let's just say Vecna is pumping him full of the Vecna
Yeah, gross.
juice. Okay, let's move
Moving on, we have the credits. Were there anything like different to the credits for season 5?
No, I
Not
don't think so.
really. I love the credits in season 3 because they're like a little different, like with the red,
Mm.
white, and blue type theme. But
I did love that.
then we go to November 3rd, 1987. So we're a year and a half past the end of season 5. We're 3 days before the anniversary of the show originally.
And we meet Holly Wheeler, and she is just bebopping around, and you see her kind of like, she's laying plates down, getting ready for breakfast, but then something kind of catches her eye out the window. And what is that?
Yeah, and I thought it was cool that we start with a view of the Wheeler house with the sprinklers, because I
Of
think
course.
that's like the
It's
I
iconic.
think season 3 maybe, or season, like there's been a few seasons where we get
Mhm.
that. But she sees like just this silhouette, and this is one of the things that I was annoyed that was spoiled by like
Oh, God, I know.
leaks, because you see like the silhouette of this man in like sort of a brown suit, and you see it again later in this episode when she's talking to him outside the school, and
Mhm.
I automatically knew that it was Jamie.
Jamie.
Because we saw like her talking to him like leaked, like because people took a picture out front of the Creel house when they were filming.
Fucking core. Telling you, and I have to like commend the production team. They were dealing with some trolls. Like they were getting to the point that they were sending drones out and stuff to get pictures. Like they were relentless. So anything that wasn't shot on a soundstage, it was almost hard to avoid, even if you weren't looking for spoilers. So that was very, very frustrating. But we should definitely do a drinking game in the future every time they say Mr. What's It.
Yeah, there's like quite a few in this episode. But Karen tells her to round up the troops, and I love
her
that,
sweater.
Like, yes, Karen looks great. Love her style this season. But the theme music sort of starts playing.
I know.
As like she tells everybody like breakfast is ready. But I do like Mike banging on the bathroom door thinking Nancy's in there.
Gonna
and then
whiz on the floor.
out walks Joyce. We're like, oh, okay. Which again, this was fucking spoiled, and everybody thought it was like AI of like the breakfast table.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like, so
apparently they've been staying with the Wheelers all this time.
Yeah, the buyers. So Joyce, Jonathan, and Will. Jonathan and Will are sleeping on couches down in the basement. For
Did
like
you
a
see
year
where
and a
Joyce
half.
is sleeping? On a
think
cot in the hallway.
Yeah, that fold-up
Bitch.
cot. Like,
Make Holly give up her goddamn bed. That's kind of
Yeah.
fucked.
Holly's got a nice room. Like, that was
Yeah,
one of my
she
favorite
does.
things about this season. But then breakfast is very chaotic. Ted doesn't get
Ted
any
Wheeler.
bacon.
Yep.
Holly is reading A Wrinkle in Time, which comes back very
What
blatantly.
8-year-old is fucking reading A Wrinkle in Time? You're gonna be like, me? Yep. Moving on.
Everyone rushes out the door, and I love how they turn on the radio as they're driving and biking away and listen to the squawk. So I feel like this is like, I'll let you go here because this is one of your favorite parts.
I'm sorry, but yet again, I need to just gloat. Everybody was making jokes. What's going to be their next job? Is it going to be bartenders? And literally, like, I think they showed like maybe Steve's sneaker next to an old Cheez-It box and the rubber chicken. And I right away, because I'm Stacy, forever tap dancing, and I went, they're radio DJs. And I fucking called it, and we have proof of it. Well, apparently, and we also see Nancy and Jonathan, they're riding in, and they can hear the squawk. So it seems like everyone's listening to it because Holly even says we're going to miss the squawk. So they're listening to it on their little bike radio. And we see Robin and Steve are at the WSQK station, the squawk, and they have a show now, a morning show called Rockin' Robin. And it's kind of set to Michael Jackson's Rockin' Robin, very appropriate with the new movie out. And you find out that Eddie Fast Hands Lee, he fled like so many others. And apparently, like, now some people may say this is just like lazy writing, but it almost like perfectly summarizes everything that's been going on in this 18-month period. And Robin does it quite well. And Steve's her sound man, who he's never looked better. Love that outfit on him.
So good.
And he's just using the rubber chicken and just slamming in the tapes and stuff. And I love her having to like signal applause. And he's a little slow on the upchuck, but that's fine. You know, we love our Steve. But she explains that they've been under basically like government military quarantine for the last 18 months. So if you had in a split town, I guess after a certain cutoff date, you're screwed. You're staying in there. And that there's mandatory like checkups because of the spores that they were breathing in. Hopefully, you know, they're not cancerous. So like they're almost trying to like explain like, yeah, like was that really bad for the town? But apparently everybody's fine. The entire destroyed downtown, you know, where the Hawkins, you know, library was, it's now cordoned off as this like it's called like, she nicknames it the Big Mac.
MAC-Z, like military access control zone, I think. I didn't write that
Good
down, but
you. Holy shit. I'm like, Big Mac. So, and she's like, and you can kind of see like there's a gate there, and, you know, whatever they're doing is hush hush. And that they, you know, they just, you know, there's delivery trucks coming in for obvious supplies, and that you need to just, you know, abide by the guidelines. And that also all the rifts that broke open, all these huge cracks in, you know, Hawkins are now, you know, they got metal band-aids slapped on them, and you see people actually like sledding down them, and she's like, but don't do that because the men with the guns will be angry. So she kind of just like, you know, summarizes what's going down, how they're all in lockdown, and then she kind of like switches gears and she mentions that Rockin' Robin has a date. And I love like the moment of panic on Steve's face, like, is she gonna say it? Like, no, Steve. But I love that she plays Pretty
What
in
is
Pink
it?
by
yeah.
she plays Pretty in Pink by the Psychedelic Furs from the 1986 movie Pretty in Pink. And I
Okay.
love that it cuts to Vicky, and she's in her Candy Striper uniform on her way probably to a shift to the hospital, and she kind of smiles because she's like, this one's for you, babe. And it starts playing, but then it starts to cut out. And what happens?
Because the radio waves go all wonky, and I couldn't tell what the song was that was playing before
Oh, it's a
before
classic.
it goes weird. So I'm glad that you noticed it. But yeah, it gets all wonky, and Steve calls Dustin for help. Dustin's in a bad mood, which seems to be like the standard lately. Tells him, well, and Steve's kind of worried that like it's the military that cut off the radio, but like
and if you notice that, it's always like, especially with season 2, you know, with Nancy, he's like, you heard what they said with the NDAs. They'd come after our families. He's telling Robin, told you to stop thumbing your nose at the military. And she's like, I was telling them to go by their guidelines,
yeah,
you know?
and Dustin says the same thing. He's like, no, she was encouraging compliance. Like, it's probably the remote radio head. And like Steve's like, well,
What
what's
the fuck is that?
Like, and Dustin acts like he's, you know, Steve says that he's speaking Greek, and poor Dustin is just like, we'll learn Greek. So
Yeah, and I love him going, you hear that tone? A little callback to season 4.
So Dustin is walking down the hall in his Hellfire shirt.
Uh-oh.
Definitely not over Eddie Munson's death, which is to be expected for sure. But he's confronted by like the jocks who are all
Andy.
bullying him. Andy and Chance, which their names are prominently displayed on their Letterman jackets. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I did like that what sort of like scared Andy and Chance off was Lucas.
Yes,
And then-
because I'm sorry, what Mike says, like, okay, you're using your brain, but at the same time, I'm like, who talks like that? But when Lucas comes over, like,
Well, Lucas
right
comes
away.
first. Lucas comes first.
Oh, and then he does.
yeah,
Okay.
then Mike
But-
and Will come
but
over.
when
but
what does Lucas say? Because I was clutching my pearls. I was like, oh, Lucas.
I think he said, didn't he say, remember when my sister kneed you in the balls? Like, and so he's like, if you do this again, like, I'm gonna like knee you so hard in the balls they're gonna pop or something like that.
Perfection.
Yeah,
Perfection. That's how
was
you scare
great.
someone.
And it was just good to see them sort of like, they were always
Teamed
just
up
like
again.
the scared little boys, and Lucas,
Yeah.
that's not what Lucas wanted. Lucas wanted to have that
Mhm.
confidence. So it was like good to see him, you know, standing up to the bullies. And also Will and Mike, I mean, they had some height advantages at this point too, but like they were very intimidating, like, which I was like,
Well-
good for them. Like as a trio. Like
Yes. Yes. I was going to be like, okay.
they're not that intimidating, but like they were taller and like teamed up with Lucas, all three of them,
Yeah.
with Dustin sort of against the two jocks. Like they seemed like they could stand their
They'll
own.
hold Lucas's backpack as he kicks the other one's asses.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what I don't like is that they ripped Dustin's the collar of his Hellfire shirt.
I know.
That's
I know. And
plain dirty.
it was. So they come to his defense for Dustin, but then they do sort of give him a hard time.
Which I see where they're coming from, because they're like wearing that, because obviously, you know, they're probably referring to these as the Munson murders, what happened, you know, over spring break of '86, that Eddie, you know, was accused and is probably, you know, presumed dead or found dead as the killer. So obviously Hellfire probably is no more, and wearing that shirt is almost like a scarlet letter, and they're like, you're egging them on, you know, you're being a target, which I get Dustin's side, but I also get the boy side. I get Dustin's side of like, no, like, you know, this is for Eddie, you know, everything that he did, standing up, going against what people thought. But then they're saying, no, you're putting a target on us when we're trying to keep a low profile.
Right. They're like, we need to focus on Vecna. And yeah, I sort of see both sides too. And I feel like that was tough to like watch them have such a big disagreement. But it also sort of reminded me of in season 4 when Lucas sort of wanted to play basketball and didn't want to be a part of like the nerdy stuff anymore, and it was just like that conflict between them.
Just cancel your game. Okay.
Yeah, but
and they walk by what?
So I liked this transition. Like we talk about a lot of like transitions that we like in the past seasons. So I thought this one was pretty cool because they walk by a missing poster, and it's the missing poster showing Elle that they're looking for her. And we had actually seen this missing poster as part of like promo for season 5. You could actually like call the number on it and everything like that. And as they kind of pan in on the missing poster, then it cuts to Elle running through the woods. And
sure does.
I thought that this scene was pretty cool too. After the fact, like watching it again, you could tell that the person that the military was chasing was not wearing the same outfit as Elle, but it was sort of meant to think, and I was fooled by it initially. Like I feel like I was like, oh, they're chasing her, but then you realize they're chasing somebody else, and then she's just doing her like obstacle course. So
she's doing her double dare challenge.
Guts.
She's doing guts. Okay,
she's
gonna win that year's supply of chocolate milk. Don't you worry.
It all ties together, right? If you didn't listen to our last episode, guys, you won't get that. But
yeah.
But Hop wants to go home and eat waffles and watch Miami Vice.
Which I never realized that I guess like Eggos, like they kind of had a falling out with Stranger Things.
Oh.
Yeah, something about copyright and whatnot. That's why Millie Bobby Brown, it's not some weird quirk of hers. She actually legally cannot sign anything with the Eggos. Like if you give her a box of Eggo waffles, she can't sign it. That explains. So people, if you think she's being a priss, no, she's really not. I guess they didn't legally like use that, and something happened. I'm not too sure about the details, so that's why they refer to them as waffle mix.
Well, he was like, I have a box of waffle mix, so he was gonna like make the waffles.
And they were gonna have a Miami Vice marathon. That sounds like heaven to me.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, just go home and take a break.
And I know this was a big criticism of mine, and I will elaborate further as we go more into the season. I didn't like where everybody was, mentally, which I get it. You're under quarantine. It's been 18 months. You've lost people. Vecna still hasn't been found. People are going to be at each other's throats. But it was almost to the point that, like, everyone was being nasty to each other. Like, I think Lucas was really being the only decent person to everybody in general, because everyone was just, like, snapping at each other. So even Elle snapping at, like, Hop, and I get her frustration, because we even, like, voiced it. We were like, Papa, he knew that her training had to be in the mind. Hopper is doing more because he's a military man. He's ex-military. He's doing more endurance and he's doing a more physical challenge, So it's almost like she's trying to beat her time and she's getting more and more frustrated with him, which we kind of know he's probably kind of like tagging her along, just trying to, warding her off doing these crawls. And you can tell she's getting snippy, which also I would be getting snippy too. And her just going like, reset it. And like, hot damn, good thing they have plenty of supply of pumpkins.
I know.
'Cause, whew,
And then you see Murray driving in. He's
who
driving
apparently is the only truck driver that's able to go in and out from Bradley's Big Buy.
Yeah. So Bradley's Big Buy is the grocery store where she steals the Eggos in season 1. I've also been there.
Look at you.
So he drives the truck into the quarantine area, and I thought it was also similar to like him driving into the gate in Russia and like pretending
He's
to be
very
someone else.
convincing.
Yeah. But back at the radio station, they're looking for this manual that
Girl.
Dustin told them to
First of
look
all,
for.
the manual is the size of like my old Honda's manual, which I'll never forget my dad going, "You read all that, right?" And I'm like, yeah. No, I didn't. But like, I don't know. We noticed there's a little bit of tension because like, now I will be a defender. I think 100% Steve was not hitting on Nancy this season. We'll get into it further down the line. I think the man just like, that's her friend. So he leaned in to look, and Nancy kind of like, I'm sorry, she got the goosies. And Jonathan right away, you can tell he's picking up on this, which it's been 18 months. Why is this not addressed? But you can see that right away he kind of notices. So what we had been suspecting, there might be a love triangle, or at least in Jonathan's eyes, there might be forming. And
Yeah.
what do they notice with this broken part?
Also, just to address the love triangle quickly, I feel like I was so hyper focused on that with the initial watch because I love Steve so much, and I feel like a lot of people were talking about that and complaining about that, but it wasn't really as pronounced as I remembered it being when I rewatched it. There was another instance that when they were leaving the Wheeler house in the morning and they turn on the radio, Nancy and Jonathan are driving, and Nancy kind of like smiles and says that's a new one.
And Jonathan catches it.
Yeah, and Jonathan's like so annoyed. So I feel like it's very obvious. They're making it very obvious that Jonathan has an issue.
Thank you.
I think the things with Nancy, like they're not as like pronounced as I remembered them
not
being.
as bad as it was with season 4, which obviously out of sight, out of mind. Jonathan was, MIA and Steve's shirtless. So yeah, what a girl's gonna do what a girl's gonna do. But I think really, because I've rewatched season 5 quite a lot, I think it's showing Jonathan's like insecurity and like where they are right now, because he can feel Nancy, pulling away. And Nancy, I don't think it's as pronounced because she actually has other more serious shit to focus on. But like, you could, like, I'm sorry, 2 boys are climbing a radio tower over your behalf.
Yeah.
You're going to just roll your eyes and act like it's annoying you. But girl, deep down inside, she was like, But no, continue.
Well, and this scene, though, was like a parallel to season 4 when they're all looking at the phone book. And like,
Yes.
I loved pointing out that parallel because I have posted that scene of Steve and Eddie so many times on like Instagram. And it's like, Nancy, she kind of like, she cringes away, though, where Eddie, when they do
Eddie,
this in
on the
scene,
other
he
hand,
like pushes back into Steve as
he
like
curled
Steve's
into
like
Steve's chest hair. Yeah,
So we usually save that for our secret segment,
Yeah,
talking
let's
about
hold
that kind
back.
of stuff. But I had to mention that, talking about this scene. But
where's
they
the broken part?
Yeah, they do figure out that they have to fix this part that's all the way at the top of the radio tower.
Which Robin, they go outside and it's a tall fucking tower, and Robin's like, she has to remind Steve because Steve right away is like, because Nancy's like, no harnesses. That's kind of like dumb to go up there. And he's like, oh, a job for Steve Harrington. And he goes to do it. And right away, Robin's like, remember, shut the power off or you're going to get shocked. And next thing you know, I almost called him Charlie. That is his God-given name. Jonathan, he's jumping up the ladder. And guys, we all know how I feel about this goddamn radio tower scene. It hits deep. I think it was also, if you listen to the instrumental score, it's called WSQK. And just, it's so synthesizer and so 80s. They kind of almost have like, I think with Steve, it was a friendly contest because he's a jock to, to Charlie. To Jonathan, it was, no, I have to prove myself in front of my lady. So it's kind of amusing to see them both climbing this ridiculously tall tower. And they reach the top, and it's kind of amusing because, by the time they reach the top, Nancy and Robin, they saw, the delivery truck come in, which Robin was like, oh, I didn't think deliveries were today. So they leave. So both of them reaching the top and at the same time shouting down, I fixed it. She's not even fucking there watching.
Yeah,
so
they're
that
not even
was pretty
watching.
funny. But what does Murray bring? He brings some goodies.
Yep. So he brings a telemetry tag, which I had no idea
The
what
fuck
that
is that?
was. We learn later what it is, but some ammo, some grenades, Gatorade, boppers,
Oh,
and a tape that is very engaging for Jonathan. We know
way
what's
to
in there.
be subtle, Murray.
And then information about the next burn, which is like, we don't know what this burn is at this point. We don't find out until later, but that's why he came early. And he tells them that, the military is planning this supply drop. So it means that they can do a crawl. And again, we don't really know what they mean by crawl, but we find out in this episode.
God, remember all my fucking... We're going to have to just do a whole episode of my dumbass theories that you're a sweetheart. Like, sweetheart, you literally had to humor me and just be like, yeah, maybe, Stacey. I'm like, oh, crawl. Maybe it's Vecna's charred corpse crawling towards Eddie's dead body, and he's going to use his body as a vessel, and all connected to Eddie coming back, which... But literally, I like that they call it the crawl, but so many people were like, this might have something to do with Steve Harrington because, he was crawling backwards. Like, we looked like that meme of that guy with all the strings on the board. Like, it was pretty bad. It wasn't really that deep.
No,
But,
and I think it was a reference to D&D because later Mike is talking to Holly and talking about a dungeon crawl, and that's like a thing in D&D. It's so yeah.
Saying this is why we got to learn how to do. No, you would kill me. You would kill me. You would be like, Stacey, I'm not playing this
D&D.
with you.
No.
Come on, we'll wear cloaks.
So Dustin goes into a science classroom. I don't really like this little sub storyline here.
Why not?
Because of how it ends. So Dustin goes into a science
Didn't know
classroom.
you like to eat snakes.
I don't want to kill snakes, okay? I don't want the snake. Poor Jake the snake.
Poor Jake the snake.
He meets a not so great end because of Dustin's antics. But then he goes into the cafeteria. He sits in Eddie's spot.
I know.
So that was kind of cool. And they
Uh-oh.
hear
What
Robin
starts
come on the
playing?
radio. Yep.
And I thought this was really cool. This was really clever to use the whole squawk station. So she starts playing Diana Ross's Upside Down, and you see Hop is listening in and he's taking notes, and so aren't the kids in the cafeteria. And she gives these facts that Diana was born in the North End of Detroit. North. That you point out every time I do
Yep.
one, okay? Her manager that signed her to Motown was Berry Gordy. Her songs between
Gordy with a G.
Good girl. Between 1964 to 1967 were
I don't know what the number was.
motherfucker number one.
Okay. 1,
One in the top.
10.
Yep, good girl. Charts.
I don't think that was important. The
This
10
means
wasn't
that,
important.
guys, I would be writing
Oh,
down
maybe
shit.
it was. Maybe 10 p.m. was 10 p.m. Yep.
You know what? Stacey's writing down all shit that really has nothing to do with anything, and brings up the runtime of her film, The Wiz, to being how long?
Over 2 hours. So it was, what was the first thing you said?
North?
North. So the North G1 was like the quadrant of the Upside Down because they've sort of made it into these quadrants so that they can search it. And then the 10 p.m. was the time. And then 2 hours was like how long it would be. So
Yeah.
that
And
was
of
all the
course,
information.
cut to me, I would have gone, this song rocks, and I would have missed the whole thing.
then after that, after they get the information about the crawl, the
Mhm.
Wheeler siblings are both the ones sort of explaining it. So Nancy's under, they go under the radio station to like the secret area, and Nancy is like got her like teacher vibes going because she gets the projector out
Old
and
school
everything.
projector. Yep.
And then as she's explaining the plan, Mike and the guys are at the picnic table in the woods, and he's got his like D&D stuff out to explain the plan, but it's like both of them sort of explaining the plan
It's
in
edited
their own
really
way.
cool.
Yeah, I liked that scene, and I liked that it was both like the Wheeler siblings. And also then Dustin with Mike, but also Robin and Steve are kind of cynical at this point because they're like, we've done this how many times? Like,
Is it the 36th crawl?
yeah, Steve, I think 36 or 37 because Hopper says it later. But Steve thinks maybe Vecna's already dead. Elle can't find him in her bath. Will hasn't had his goosies.
Yep.
Since the quake. And they're just all like a little tired of like the monotony of all of these crawls. Like
Mhm.
it's cool for us because we've never seen it, and they're kind of
Yeah.
going into their like sort of like adventure mode or whatever, but like they're sort of like, we've done this so many times now, like what is it really doing? So the boys are still at the picnic table, and they sort of like cheer and put their hands together, which I thought was cute.
It was nice, and it reminded you of like, and I love that they're at the picnic area where Eddie had been with Chrissy, and somebody said like, Will just does this because he wants attention, which is not nice. But
I
when
thought
you're
it
not
was
when you're not
actually
getting enough attention,
it was actually kind of interesting because Steve brought up the fact that Will hadn't had his goosies in a long time. So I think that was important narratively for us to know that, because then Will does start to have this weird vision. So we understand that this is the first time that this
and
is
it's
happening
almost
in a
like
while.
he can hear like children playing, and
Yeah.
he's looking up at the sky, and he gets really like faint and like dizzy,
because
almost
it's
like
like
he's spinning.
Yeah.
And right away, he tells the kids, because they all, which is so sweet, how concerned they are. And he's just like, oh no, I'm just excited for the crawl and stuff. And I'm like, okay.
But
Goosies.
then we cut right to the playground, and you see that Holly's laying on this merry-go-round thing, and her friend is pushing her, but then Derek comes over
Fucking Derek.
and starts
with that
pushing her
hat.
really fast. I know, it was so random, which I just saw that actor in person recently. But
Love that.
the teacher,
Didn't that give you old school vibes? I remember at my old Catholic school, the nuns would ring the bell and you'd line up.
yeah, I never had that happen, but I didn't go
Oh.
to Catholic school. So
Oh, sorry.
the teacher's name was Miss Harris, but I thought this was really cute. We do have to point this out. That woman was one of the Duffer Brothers' actual teachers, like their drama teacher or something, I
Yep.
think, which is pretty cool. Like
I love that they...
had
Yeah.
her in the show and like honored her in that way. But she calls everybody in, and Holly, instead of lining up, goes over
Uh-oh.
to talk to a random
Which,
stranger.
I'm sorry, stranger danger, McGruff the crime dog. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I was raised to watch that fucking made-for-TV movie, I Know My Name is Steven. Like, if my mother found out that I was seen talking to either nobody or apparently I was claiming was an adult, there'd be some questions. But of course, when the teacher looks, she's talking to absolutely no one. So she looks a
Exactly.
little,
Very
Cocoa,
concerning.
cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
And then we get Dr. K, which, did we need Dr. K?
Just
Questionable.
dissecting a fucking blob, I guess.
Yeah. I was like, is that a Demogorgon head? Like, I couldn't tell what
I
it
must
was.
give praise, though. Linda Hamilton is a fucking badass forever
She
and
is.
always. And she's the nicest woman ever. You'd love to meet her. But, like, just this character didn't really... I think they just needed a new villain. But I was like, we already had Sullivan. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
And
but whatever.
there was that one like tentacle thing in the cage too. Like,
Yeah.
I
And
don't
what's
know.
the big reveal? Where's the fucking lab?
In the Upside Down. So I did think it was interesting that like Dr. K wants the girl, and she apparently needs her to keep innocent people from dying. I'm like, which innocent people are dying right now? Like, but they reveal that they are in the Upside Down at this lab. So this must be like what they're bringing supplies in for.
They have extension cables to run that fucking generator.
Yeah.
Sure.
So now we have Elle arguing with Hopper because she really wants to go with him. They're like walking through the tunnels, and
I do love that they brought the tunnels back. I love that.
That was pretty cool. Because they go like down in the bus in the junkyard, under the bus, through the tunnels, and then come out back at the cabin. And Elle's trying to say that she did make her time because he had told her that she had to be under 12
Blame it on
minutes,
Diana.
30 seconds, and he's saying that he didn't see it, so it doesn't count. And then Joyce and Hopper have this conversation, and it's like Hopper, I don't know, I had like sort of mixed feelings about it because it's like he doesn't want to put her in danger, but
But he's
also,
criticizing Joyce for coddling Will.
yes, and then also he's like sort of like, we can't put her in danger because we need her for like the final battle sort of thing. So it's like he knows that they're going to have to sort of sacrifice her almost, or that she's going to have to fight Vecna in the end, and that's why they can't lose her before that. I don't know. That was sort of like,
something is revealed later on with Hopper's plan, which we won't spoil
because
yet.
he
but
gets something out of the wall where he's hiding something and you don't want to see what it is.
Like, what the fuck did you do? A box of boppers? Like, come on.
We go back to the school, and I love this was awful. It really sets up like what a jerk Andy is, because as he's opening his locker, did you catch what he was saying? He was like, did you see what Donna was wearing? She's gone up at least 2 sizes from last year.
Listen, Andy, people eat in quarantine, you prick.
But as he opens his locker, the snake, Jake the Snake, is in there. And there's like Hellfire Lives graffiti.
Which way to be subtle, fucking. Oh, I can't.
Yeah,
I can't,
know.
Dustin.
That was a little over the top. And I'm sort of just angry at Dustin because he ends up getting the snake killed. So I'm like...
I know that snake was the true casualty of the season.
It was. At least this episode. But everybody's sort of making fun of him because, like, the nerds are like, oh, it's just a corn snake.
It's just a corn snake.
And they're, like, petting it.
Yeah, they're like, it's so cute. So we cut to Mike. He's outside of Hawkins'
Elementary? Yeah.
And he's like, which this is classic 1980s. Of course, he's probably waiting for his sister to come out and, nobody's there. So he goes inside and he sees his sister waiting, and he looks into the office. And there's his mom talking with like the principal or the teacher. And he sits down. And what does Holly say?
Right. So she's reading her book again, and it looks like Karen's talking to her teacher, having a conference. But Mike asks, is this about your secret friend, Mr. What's-It again? Like, so I guess they're all sort of aware that Holly has this friend, but it's sort of like they think that she has like an imaginary friend. And she tells him that Mr. What's-It wants to protect her from the monsters in Hawkins that want to eat kids like her. And Mike sort of I love this conversation, actually.
Because Mike never really has a moment with his younger sibling before, up until this moment.
Exactly. So Mike says, like, everybody in Hawkins is scared. And he says that what makes him feel better is imagining that he has Mike the Brave with him, which is his D&D character. And he shows her the little figurine that he has of Mike the Brave. And he actually gives her Holly the Heroic, which that's so sweet that he has already...
What is that? If that was Alexis, she would have been like, the monsters will eat you, Stacy. They will eat you as soon as you fall asleep. Like, that's what an older sibling usually does. So that was very sweet.
What? I was like, was this actually a little, like, figurine he had created based on his sister? Or was it just a random one that he sort of, like...
Imagine he pulls out the most hideous goblin. He's like, this is you.
Because it kind of looked like her.
It
but...
did. It's uncanny.
It also, I feel like, was some like D&D style foreshadowing, because he says like some of Holly's powers, which include casting a dimension door, which is something that's going to come in kind of handy later.
Mhm.
But then we cut to another location, which this episode is just like jam packed, man.
Location.
Yeah.
We are at the Hawkins General, I guess.
Yeah, the hospital. And you see that Will's telling someone about his day and about the vision that he had, but you don't know at first who he's talking to. And who does he end up talking to?
He's talking to a comatose Max Mayfield. Why am I laughing? That's not nice.
I felt kind of like her room was very like stark, and like usually I feel like when people are in like a coma, like don't people try to make their room like cozy and like
that shit was not very warm and inviting. It was.
Yeah. I was like,
I don't know.
I feel like I've seen better like fan art of like what Max's room would look like in the hospital
plus,
a year and a half later.
She got downgraded. Her last room was much nicer. This one's like, I would stay in the fucking coma.
Yeah.
But it's terrible. It's terrible.
But Will is like, I need to go get something like caffeinated. Would you want to play the tape for her? And you could tell that like Lucas is sort of like not really into.
He just looks defeated.
Yeah, exactly. Which you definitely feel for him.
Which this is terrible, but like later on, let's just say she has to be removed from her bed one episode. This is where my thought first. I went, doesn't she have a catheter? Thank Christ I watched that alone, because I actually said that out loud. So only Quinn could judge me for actually thinking
Was that volume 2? That was the only one that you watched alone, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'm like, maybe I should have kept that to myself.
No. Volume 2. Yeah.
Will...
Lucas does put on the tape for her. Will goes to get a Coke from the vending machine, and he sees Robin walking into the hospital.
Love her coat, and I love that he kind of is like spying on her, and she gets Vicky alone, and she opens up the conversation with, which I love all the memes, they're like, bitch, you knew him for like 6 hours. But she goes, as a close friend once said, bad news first, always. One love. And she breaks the news to Vicky, who I was a little annoyed with. But obviously she's in the dark still, so she doesn't really know what they're up to. But she's like, I need to work. We need to cancel our date. And you can see Vicky's kind of in for it for just a hot meal, because as soon as she dangles Enzo's, which somehow in this lockdown quarantine, in that economy, it's still thriving. And she says that she stole some money from a dead patient, which I think is meant to be serious.
Yeah.
And she's going to treat Vicky out to a romantic dinner, and she's got some moves, Robin, and they start macking it, and right away Will is just fucking gagged, and he drops his, you would call it pop because it's the Midwest, pop, and of course the girls are like, oh, and she sees like him just rounding the corner, which I love. Later on she's like, I knew it was your bowl cut, but she's like, shit, somebody saw us.
Yeah, but I love this scene was kind of nice just because it set up. I mean, you knew that they were in a relationship from like the initial scene where she's playing the song for her.
Yeah, but
like it set up their sort of like established romantic relationship in a cute way, and it was like. Yeah. I liked that like a year and a half later, it wasn't like Robin was still trying to figure out if Vicky was into her or not.
Yeah.
So good for Robin for having a girlfriend, and poor Vicky for like having to get like canceled on, because that would suck. But
she wanted her hot meal.
Then we cut to the cemetery again, another location. Location that we visited.
Which I'll never forget, us trying to find that grave, Billy's grave. And I had never used TikTok before, and you were just trying to have me play back the TikTok that showed the exact spot. So imagine me. It was like showing like a 90-year-old an iPhone for the first time ever. You went, here, play this TikTok. And I'm like, I don't know what any of this shit means. But
now you're a TikTok pro.
Oh, I love TikTok. But we're back to the iconic cemetery. And whose grave does Dustin visit?
Eddie's grave, Edward Munson. And there's graffiti on it that says "Burn in Hell." This is one of the first things that we saw from season 5 also.
Spoiled. Yeah. And that's a Carrie reference, The Burn in Hell.
It was funny because it was sort of spoiled, but then I think the Duffer Brothers just kind of leaned in.
Cat was out of the bag.
Yeah, and just posted a photo of Dustin at
Which-
the cemetery.
I want to ask you a question. Do you think Eddie's body was really in there or no? I don't think so.
Yeah, I was thinking it was probably just like an empty grave, but I don't know. They could have carried him out.
Don't even
I
get me
wish.
started.
I know. I wish we knew. But he realizes. Poor Jake the
It's
Snake.
not. It's not paint.
It's not paint.
It's Snake.
Fuck you.
I just snorted.
So the bullies show up. This scene is actually really hard to watch.
Yeah,
Dustin-
it's violent.
Dustin makes a reference to like Eddie's last campaign and like violet something and how it blinds you. So he tries to sort of use the paint thinner and like put it in
Which
their
one that-
eyes.
Holy shit.
I was surprised they weren't blinded by it, but
Yeah.
they beat him up. They tell him that Hellfire dies with him and it dies tonight. So like basically I guess they're trying to kill him.
Yeah, they
Like-
kick the shit out of him. It's bad. Like, uncomfortably bad.
Yeah. And everybody else is just annoyed with Dustin because he's late. Like, oh, that was just hard. Like,
yeah, I didn't
I
like
get
that.
it. I get it. And I'm annoyed with Dustin a little bit, but like, I get where he's coming from. And I wish that he had like, somebody with him that was, I don't know, like one of them could have been like sort of on his side, but it's tough.
He should have gone to see Miss Kelly, the counselor. I don't know.
Yeah. Something like that.
We all
Therapy.
thought she was working with Vecna. Fuck our lives.
They say Dustin is not answering the walkie, and then Mike and Elle sort of have like a little reunion, which is like, when's the last time they saw each other? Like,
Yeah, they
do they
act
not?
like
do they not see each other pretty frequently?
apparently not, which I would have been rolling my eyes. I'd be like, come on. But they end up going up on the roof and they kind of have a conversation where, Mike's a little worried about Dustin and how he's acting, and Al brings up how Hopper's acting. And Mike's trying to be the optimist here, and he's like, don't worry, we're going to find and defeat Vecna, and then we're going to be fine. You're going to be able to, have your happy ending, And she's like, Mike, this isn't like, and this is actually like kind of for 11, kind of like being a realist. She's like, this isn't one of your campaigns, and he kind of like tells her like, no, like we can run away and be happy. And he kind of spitballs and he goes, someplace with 3 waterfalls.
Yeah. So it was actually, I thought it was a really pretty scene, especially with the sunset
Oh,
and
it's
everything.
lit beautifully.
But it was just interesting to me because I wasn't sure. Like, I guess Hopper's keeping her pretty like separate because she can't go
which
out
is
and
giving
everything.
season 2 vibes.
Yeah, but she pretty much asks like just what happens when it's all over, and it's like sort of a good question.
Good
And it's
question.
also a little like meta for the whole show also. And so Mike is describing what he usually has happen in his campaigns, and like you said, she's like, but can that really be real for us? And he encourages her that yes, it could be real, except for the 3 waterfalls part.
Sure, Jan.
Well, yeah, he even says that part couldn't be real.
Oh, well.
So that's, yeah, it's just like interesting because that all kind of ties together to the end too. So
sure does.
it's
So
it's heartbreaking actually.
It is, because I always bring up, that moment in Firestarter at the end when the old farmer like goes, "You'll be safe now, Charlie," because they're going to the fucking press. I'm like, she took down a whole government compound with her mind. They wouldn't let anybody like that free, let alone live. So it's probably like a question even Elle's kind of thinking, but gets planted even more further down the line by a certain character. So we see them planning shit out down in the basement because Dustin's a no-show. They need somebody to monitor that fucking tracker thing.
Yeah, so I guess it's like somehow this telemetry thing gives off sort of a radio signal, and they're able to like track the signal with the the big radio thing that Dustin's put on the van.
Mm-hmm.
But like Steve sort of like finds the signal once they turn on the telemetry signal thing, but he's like, I can't track the signal and drive at the same time.
That's true.
So
Which, do you think it's a little
Will-
messed up when Will volunteers? Joyce shuts it down, but right away she's like, Jonathan, you can do it, right? I'm
Yeah.
like, damn.
it's
wait,
messed
find
up,
out.
but it's not out of character for her. Like, unfortunately, she's always sort of like
she's always
been protective of Will,
Yeah.
even though like it's not. I mean, Jonathan's not that much older. Like he's still your son. Like, Jesus
No,
Christ,
and-
lady.
How many times have you not been watching him and he's throwing himself into danger? Which the look on Jonathan's face, I'm like, yeah.
The look on Jonathan's face, but then also the look on Will's face, like looking so let down. That was good. I thought that sort of led into what he ended up doing.
Yes.
When he kind of went against his mom, you could really tell that he was like very frustrated and sad that he couldn't help, and like
Which I'm
kind
on.
of wanted to go against what his mom was saying.
I'm actually on Will's side, at least for this aspect of it, because like you would have been in the squawk van with Steve. Nothing would have
Yeah.
happened to you. So you can kind of tell she's being a little protective, to say the least.
And
yeah.
he was like, I helped Dustin install this. I understand it. Like,
Yeah.
I am capable of
Could you
doing
imagine they put
this.
somebody in front of it like me that doesn't know how to read it, but I'm like too busy looking at the back of Steve's head, and I'm like, yeah, we must be real close. Hot
Yeah.
guys.
But I did like Jonathan gets in the van and Steve bitchily asks him
Oh,
if he needs a
You want a
pillow.
pillow?
But you also then get a shot of Elle's face as everybody's driving away, and you can tell how upset that she is that she's not there because she wanted to be able to go help Hopper. And
Yeah.
and part of Elle's thing is I think that she's worried about Hopper
Yeah.
because
He's acting weird.
Yeah, and like she wants to protect him as much as he sort of wants to protect her. But
Mhm.
then we sort of see how their plan sort of starts to like roll out.
Joyce sees Hopper off, which,
Yep.
like, it's just kind of like, now that I've rewatched that scene enough, because I remember originally we had a theory where, like, maybe Joyce is gonna, maybe he asked her or she asked him, and he just goes, like, how do you keep getting more beautiful,
Yeah, exactly.
And, she tells him to please come back in one piece, because I think she's even kind of getting a funny feeling. So everybody is manning their stations, apparently.
Yep. And after they say goodbye, we actually see we go back to the Wheeler house, which it's interesting because it's like you don't really understand at first why we're setting all of this stuff up at the Wheeler house as well. But we see Holly, she made a necklace so that she can wear her
Practical.
Holly the Heroic around her neck. But she hears
Her
her
bedroom.
I know her bedroom is like, I think the best set in season 5.
We have
Like-
plans without getting too much into it where one day we want to do breakdowns of their bedrooms. But like the amount of like toys that I clocked that I even had, and I was born in 88, but like the Five Goes West poster, the Light Bright, like every little thing, even her sheets, I was like, this is so goddamn cool.
Yeah.
Dream
yeah.
bedroom.
So I also clocked that she sort of hears her parents arguing about her, which must be hard to hear, and that her mom is drinking, and it was giving me
Me,
It
I'm
was-
like shrugging. I'm like, all right.
it was giving me Nightmare on Elm Street vibes.
It was, yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so it was a good thing that
Do you
showed
notice
me
when
that.
Karen goes, Ted, do you even know how old your child is? He doesn't answer. You know he didn't fucking know.
But that is actually a little meta because Holly is much older than she should be.
That
in
ain't
this
no
season.
fucking 8-year-old, yeah.
Like,
Put her on all the overalls you want. That's no 8-year-old, yeah.
exactly. But Hopper goes into the Mac Z, and where he comes out of the tunnel in the Mac Z, did you clock where that was?
Radio radio station. Fuck my life. Radio Shack.
Radio Shack. But
R.I.P. Bob.
Lucas and Mike are in their lookouts at the church bell tower.
Snipers chew gum. Remember that.
I love Lucas so much. But you see that this burn that we've been talking about is basically that they're going to burn a hole in the gate so that they can send the convoy of like supply trucks and stuff through.
Mhm.
And so Hopper basically sneaks into one of those trucks based on Mike and Lucas telling him whether or not he's clear.
Yeah.
And the whole convoy goes in and Mike says he's flipped. So like he's in the upside down. What is Steve doing as he drives the van to track Hopper? Did you catch that?
Is he eating a bobber?
Absolutely.
Of course. I'm telling you, they were like, what can we do with him this season? Boppers. That's going to be his thing. And after trying them, I get it, man.
Yeah, exactly. I have the whole box yet.
You
that I
still
never
have some
ate.
left?
The not the ones I made, like the packaged ones.
You still have some of those left? I had walking pneumonia laying down flat, which I don't think you're supposed to do, just eating them like the fucking ghoul that I am.
I only ate the one that we ate on the taste test. That's all I ate.
Guys, that's restraint. That's restraint.
I don't know where they are though. Are they probably I don't know if they might be stale at this point. I don't know.
They're not stale. They're
They're
just perfect.
packaged.
Yeah, they're fine. Don't
They're
worry about
fine.
it.
So he's driving the van to track Hopper, and it seems like everything is going as planned, but then the trucks like
Uh-oh.
crash into each other.
Yeah, looks like a Demogorgon might have attacked the trucks. And it's like a chain reaction. They all crash into each other. Oh, fuck. And kind of like Will is kind of getting his goosies again. And you see right away, he like almost like knows that the Demogorgon's headed to the Wheeler house, which terrifying. And we're left on such a cliffhanger because we see Ted. He's golfing out back. And, you know, when your old lady is just getting on you and, you know, she's drinking too much, go back and hit a few rounds, you know?
The trucks crash into each other, and then Elle thinks it's because the soldiers know that he's there. But then, and that was the part that I was referring to where she's like, you can tell how worried she is about
Yes.
him. But then you see Will, I think you said this, that Will gets his goosies. But we see that he's sort of seeing the inside of the Demogorgon as it's like attacking all
Like
of
the
the soldiers
POV. Yeah.
and everything. And then Hopper's truck crashes into a tree. And Jonathan and Steve are trying to keep track of him, and then Will passes out and is basically like having a seizure as the
He wants
electricity is going haywire. But then we see that Hopper's okay. He gets out of the truck. He doesn't see anybody else around, and we realize is that he's lost radio contact. And then Joyce is like worrying over Will, trying to wake him up. I think she ends up slapping him.
That's how you get somebody out of a seizure. That's the 1980s version.
But then we do see that the Demogorgon is going towards the Wheeler house, and Will wakes up and he's like, it's coming for them. And he looks at Nancy. So Nancy like grabs Elle and she's like, they're leaving. And she's like telling Robin to like call her house if they can get through. Then that's when we cut to like Ted golfing.
Do we ever hear the phone ring?
I can't remember. It's not in this episode.
Yeah.
But it's all of that chaos is like such a stark contrast to like when we cut to the Wheeler's house, because when we get to the Wheeler's house,
everything looks peachy
it's
keen.
very quiet. It's
You
like
know,
a
Ted's
very like
golfing. Karen, she's gonna put on some Fernando and take another bubble bath because her old man is just really being a drag. So yeah, you know, all is well, but what happens in Holly's room?
right. So as Karen's walking up the stairs with her last glass of wine, hopefully for the night,
Woo!
all is quiet, but poor Holly is crying because she's heard her.
I'm sorry.
I would be crying too
You
if I
are
heard my
sensitive,
parents
Sally. You didn't grow
fighting
up with
about
Roger
me.
Still.
But the lights flicker, and then this I thought was like Poltergeist.
Yes, good girl. Oh,
Yeah.
guys, she makes me so proud.
I mean, you've done well educating
Yeah.
me on all of
Yeah.
these things. But the lights are flickering, and even her little like night light, she like unplugs it, and it's still glowing. And
That
she's
would
like,
have freaked me the
"What
fuck
the
out.
fuck is going on?"
Yep.
And then the ceiling starts like cracking, and it's sort of a callback to the Demogorgon coming through at the Byers' house in season one. Because
Which we
suddenly
hadn't
like
seen in so long that the
Mhm.
Demogorgons, because at first I was like, when have they had this ability? Then I'm like,
Right.
no, wait, they've always
been able to do this for
always
some
been able
reason.
to do this,
Yeah.
which is fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
That at will, they can literally appear. So what crawls on out?
The Demogorgon.
Fernando, that's what we're naming him.
And the Upside Down song plays again over the credits.
I mean, that's a pretty solid fucking first episode.
Yeah. I agree. That's what I was saying. I think this might be like one of my top 3 episodes of the whole season.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
A lot of fun. Definitely, mixed feelings aside, I think it was just so great seeing these characters on screen again. And I just loved, again, the editing. And I know the director, I'm going to totally blank. Can you look it up for me? The director of Shawshank Redemption?
it's like
Why am I blanking?
Darabont.
Yeah, Frank Darabont.
I didn't look it up. That came from my brain. You're welcome.
Boom, good girl.
Was he the director of this episode?
I believe so. He directed several episodes, so check for me.
I think the Duffer Brothers did this one.
Which would make sense because they usually do the first and then the last. But
Yeah.
I know Frank Darabont, he went on to do at least the next episode and a few more. And he directed one of my all-time favorite movies, Shawshank Redemption. But he also was the showrunner for the first 2 seasons of The Walking Dead back when it was good. So
Uh-huh.
you can definitely tell that, they have that kind of talent behind it. But I think definitely, it's a great setup for the season, that it's 18 months later. We're recapped, we're filled in, but we get to see them actively do one of these crawls. And it's almost like classic soap opera, like just what a cliffhanger. So good.
Yeah. There was a lot of points where I thought it was going to end.
Mhm.
And then it just kept going. Like I was like, didn't remember that this was so long.
Yeah.
Because the first time I watched it, I just watched it all like a marathon. So this one definitely lasted a long time. But yeah, it was. I mean, and the radio station stuff is the majority in this episode too, and
No wonder I
and
loved
your
it.
beloved radio tower. So
Yeah, I love that radio tower.
if we'll have to rank our top episodes like after we
Yes.
finish the deep dives, and I have a feeling this one's going to be up there for sure.
100%.
Well, that was fun.
That was
it-
fun.
Better than you expected.
It was. It definitely was, So this is going to be therapeutic to
Yes.
do these deep dives and look back and,
Yeah, because we do
climb,
love this
climb
show.
that tower.
Yeah. Maybe instead of diving into Lover's Lake, we're actually climbing the radio tower.
Climbing up that tower. Running up that hill, climbing up that tower. You ready to do some merch?
Yeah. What merch do you have for this week?
All right. Well,
Oh,
I
yeah.
went. Yeah.
She's
I
showing me something.
I mean, I
you
know.
can't see
It
it.
doesn't really work for podcasts. Sorry, guys. I'm showing my Happy Meal box because, as we know, they had a little affiliation with Stranger Things Tales from '85, the little cartoon spinoff. And I was able to go. I went twice because McDonald's make my tummy really upset. But for our Patreon members, we'll be uploading a video pretty soon
It's up.
of my. Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Good girl. My quest jewel of me just eating the box to the
I didn't
side.
watch it. I love how I'm like, it's up, and then I'm like, I didn't watch it.
I could have literally been like, fucking, you guys want to know what I really feel about Megan? You know what? One day, that's what I'm going to do during a taste test, and then we'll see if you've really watched it. All
I
right.
haven't
Well,
watched like any of them. I'm
you're a
sorry.
piece of you're a piece of shit.
I do
All
want to like sit down and watch all of them at some point, but it hasn't happened. Yeah.
It's on
I,
the list.
I get to
I
see
literally
you
broke
so
this.
much.
I'm dead.
You just
Okay.
broke the toy.
Guys, it's from McDonald's. Am I surprised? So I got the Vine Creature, which kind of looks like a vagina. I know that this is what a lot of people have been getting. I have gotten the Vine Creature and I have gotten Max.
And you
I'm
just
not
broke it?
collecting these. No, it's a dumpster, I think, or
Oh.
a shed. And you like have to turn a little dial to open it. So I just ripped it open because I got impatient. Whoops. But yeah, they supposedly come with like an activity book or some coloring shit. I didn't see any of that, but I did collect 2 boxes. I do have a toy for you because I know you're really interested in collecting those, Megan.
I can't buy Happy Meals anyway because I can't eat them.
so you get the toy without having to eat any meat.
Thank you.
But no, is there a nostalgic getting a Happy Meal? I was
That is
gagged
fun. That's
at how
super fun.
small the fries are. Like, and mind you, Eli was like, "It's for a child, Stacey," and I'm like, "Okay." When
Still,
I remember,
like kids are growing, they need calories.
yeah, and then people were like, "You can substitute the apple slices for fries," and I was like, "I can't do that.
Why would you do that?
I can't do that." I'm like, if I do that, it's officially the beginning of the end. But no, so I just right down memory lane. It's pretty cool that they have this and they have the posters up and stuff. So very, very cool. And I know we'll probably be discussing as you continue watching our thoughts of Tales of 85. Eli was actually very nice to surprise me with 2 surprises. One was a signed Maya Hawke vinyl because I unfortunately had to miss her show. So that
Aw,
is...
it's signed too.
It's signed, I know.
That's
right?
amazing.
Shout out Eli. So it's hanging with my Crux vinyls. And also,
Yeah, Eli got
me,
to meet Maya at that,
which is
signing.
amazing. Which I'm
Yeah.
so glad they got their chance because Maya's just incredible, as we know.
Yeah.
But they also got me this, like, it's supposed to be like a Stanley, almost like topper for your straw. And it's they were only released in Mexico.
Is it a bear?
And it's a little bear with Scoops Ahoy. He's supposed to be Mr. Steve Harrington.
Cute.
So it's from Starbucks. They did a little collaboration only in Mexico. So that was some exclusive merch that I was able to get. So huge thanks to Eli for that. And also my U2s, my Squawk, Robin, and Steve set, they have shipped finally.
Oh, fun.
So we'll see when they eventually come, but I can't wait. And I decided to do this new thing, which I'll definitely send you pics so you can put on our social media. But we're going to do a pop of the week where I am highlighting a pop or a pop set from my collection. And I wanted to highlight, I don't have it in my hands right now, but it's this set that I got probably like 2 or 3 years ago. It's the Creel House, which is super, super cool, all covered in vines with Vecna with his vines. And it was this set that I got. I won it actually by doing a Stranger Things trivia contest on Facebook. I thought it was going to
Cool.
be like a scam or a virus, but I ended up winning the set. And I think it was even maybe before we even started the podcast even that I won it. But it's very, very cool because you don't really see like actual houses and stuff. I'm not too familiar with pops with that aspect of there actually being buildings, but I thought that was super cool. So that is my pop of the week, the Creel House and Vecna.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, this was a fun episode.
Hell yeah, it
Um,
was. We climbed up that tower.
I'm glad that it was fun because I know we were both a little nervous.
Yeah.
And we're doing it, guys. We're finally doing it. And just make sure that you check us out on social media at Skull Rock Broadcast. Come chat with us, hang out with us over there. And I'm at Steady Stories on Instagram. Stacy is at Stay Still Reviews, and we also have our Patreon, which Stacy records a lot of bonus content for, and I did get up her little trip to McDonald's, and her most recent taste test of the international snacks is up. We also had our giveaway winner was announced on Patreon, which so congratulations Marla for winning the Joe t-shirt and apple charm, and we'll be getting that sent out pretty soon. And we also do sort of like bonus content, like this past week, the first 30 minutes of the episode were released early for Patreon members.
Mhm.
And also ad-free versions of all of the episodes go on Patreon as well. So lots of cool stuff, and you'd just be supporting our show as well. So hang out with us on Patreon, and yeah, I think that's it.
I think that's it. Over and out.
Over and out.
Eddie, I'm not sure I love the idea of you driving.
Oh, I'm starting to suffer. Harrington's got her. Don't you, big boy?
All right. You have a secret segment?
I sure do. 2 stories, quick.
All right. So we're back.
We're back.
If you did not know, because, maybe you just joined us for our first deep dive of season 5. So welcome. If this was your first episode, we appreciate you being here. But we do like to talk about fan fiction. I know I kind of mentioned at some point when I started talking about Steve and Eddie, I was like, oh, we'll save that for the secret segment. But we know that fan fiction is not for everyone. So we put this after the, episode so that you can just turn it off. Catch us next time. If you don't want to listen to us talking about Steve and Eddie, which is our main favorite ship in the Stranger Things world, we believe that Eddie Munson is alive and well, and
He is.
dating Steve, fucking
Yeah.
Steve all the
Yeah.
time in a million different universes. So
Ass to mouth, everything.
so I did start a fic. I talked about it, I think, on our last episode.
Mhm.
But I have been reading a little bit just casually, haven't gotten too much farther in it, but I'm excited to hear what you have been reading, Stacey.
Well, please update us as you
I will.
continue that story, because it did sound really good. So I read 2. They were fairly shorter. The first one was He'll Be With His Boyfriend If He's Not Reading Books. And that was by Harper Finkel. And it was Eddie's got to pass his GED, and Steve is almost in the Nancy position. He's made flashcards, and he's like, where every answer you get right, I'll give you a reward. Wink, wink. Hot. The next one was about 8 or so chapters. And it was actually really sweet. It was called Over the Hills and Far Away by Merle C. And it was taking place in the probably the future, I would say early aughts, to late 90s, where Eddie is, he was written off dead, really went into the witness protection, and he actually comes back once a year on the anniversary of Chrissy's death to lay flowers by her grave in disguise, and he breaks down, and it's Steve Harrington who actually pulls over to see if he needs assistance, and he's like, listen, I kind of live out in the boonies, why don't you crash with me this summer, if you don't have to get back, and he does, and Steve's actually a school teacher, and you find out he was married, and you kind of do flashbacks of what went wrong in his marriage, which is so heartbreaking, and it's just really, really sweet. And you have a cameo by Robin, and it's just older steady, but it's really, really sweet, and it's written so goddamn well. It just really got me in the warm and fuzzies. So yeah.
That sounds good.
Hmm.
Love that. All right. Well, thanks for sharing.
Of course. So I guess until next time, peace.
Peace.